Hello or salvete amici Latine, or hello friends of Latin. Chapter 9, which is what we're going to be learning next week in Latin for Children B, is going over two things. We're finishing up our genitive talks and we're finishing up our personal pronouns. This time it is second personal pronouns. So here, second person would mean people we are talking to directly. So you, I'm talking to you directly. I'm referring to you exactly. That would be your second person pronoun, you. In Latin, it's tu. That's the nominative singular. And vos for nominative plural. But we also have the other cases which are used quite often. You'll see them occasionally in Latin literature and books. And so we're going to go over those. I'm going to be going from left to right on the chart and then down. So your nominative is tu, you. Vos, you all. Genitive, which means the of case, tui, of you or yours. Vestrum, vestri, of you all or yours. Dative, which is the to for case or your indirect object. Tibi, to for you. Vobis, to or for you all. Tibi is probably what we will see the most often, other than to and vos. Accusative, which is your direct object, is te or you, and vos, you all. Notice here that the accusative and the nominative plural and the accusative plural are the same word. A little confusing, but you have to pay attention to the other words in the sentence to help you figure this out. Now we have the ablative, te, which means by, with, or from you, and vobis, by, with, or from you all. Our new vocabulary for the lesson of chapter 9 is adiuo, adiuare, adiui, and adiutum. This would be the classical Latin words. They also provide for you here the ecclesiastical Latin. It means to help, aid. Now we have adapto, adaptare, adaptavi, adaptatum, to select or adopt. Amovio, amovere, amovi, and amotum, to move away. Avoco, avocare, avocavi, avocatum, to call away. Mueo, muere, mui, motum, to move. We have remus, or the word or. Here it is in the second declension masculine, or remus-I masculine. Saculus -I masculine, little bag. We have tumulus-I masculine, hill mound. Here we have our derivative tumultuous, which tumultuous means something that always comes up on little hills or little problems. And here we have that tumulus. And that's how we got, actually, I think that's how we got Mr. Tumnus in Chronicles of Narnia. Just the little problems. Pugna-A, feminine. So this would be your first declension feminine word, fight. And then we have gladius-I, masculine, sword. Bellum-I, neuter, war, battle. Prelium-I, neuter, battle. Arma and aurum, neuter, plural only. We only use these in the plural. Arms and weapons. We have a few review vocabulary words. These review vocabulary words you will be tested on, but you probably won't be tested on these. However, they're good to know. We have flow, flowe, flowy, flatum, to blow. Do, dare, dedi, datum, to give. Habito, habitare, habitavi, habitatum, to live. Ambulo, ambulare, ambulavi, ambulatum, to walk. Mando, mandare, mandawi, mandatum, to entrust. On the next 2 pages, we have our chapter story. These are quite literally translations. If you do not see the vocabulary word, in the back of your book, try looking in your dictionary. There, you probably will find the word you're looking for. Keep in mind the endings here to help you translate the story. On page 76, we have other uses of genitive. We go over 3 different genitives here: the genitive of origin, the partitive genitive, and the genitive of material. And they give you 3 examples at the bottom of the page, which label it clearly. And then they have an illustration from the medieval ages or what they thought the medieval ages were in the 1870s. Genitive of origin, partitive genitive, and genitive material, as a side note, are all things that we go over in English grammar. We just might not name it that in middle school grammar, but they are concepts that you learn in more advanced grammar as you go along. Because normally you just say it's a possessive noun and move on. But they are these labels here for Latin grammar, and this is a part of it. On page 77, we have our translation sheet. Be careful because some of these endings are not the nominative singular. They might be accusative, they might be ablative, they might be genitive, and they even might be dative. So be aware that some of those could be anything. And some of them are verbs. So that O ending more than likely would be a verb, but it also could be a noun. So keep in mind, go to the back of your book, try to find it in your book. The chant is quite literally word for word on page 73, the new chant, the second personal pronouns. You're just supposed to copy and paste that chart out word for word. Yes, everything. Please do that. And then C, grammar. The C grammar section usually is found on the previous page, 76, or if it goes to the other page, 75. But for this lesson, it is 76, just the previous page. It goes over each of the genitives we kind of worked for. There might be a question in these 4 questions that refer back to a previous lesson when we talked about the genitive. So be aware of that. But I think most of them go over the 3 genitives that we went over today. On page 78, we have your translation worksheet. The kids have been just wonderful translating these translation worksheets. We're getting used to parsing and translating these words. Parsing means just to break it apart. So, for example, vir, gladium movet would be nominative or the subject noun, singular, and the masculine gender. Gladium would be accusative, singular, masculine, and movet would be third person, singular, present tense. The only difference between parsing a noun and parsing a verb is that instead of putting the gender on with the nouns, with the verbs we are putting the tense on, because verbs do not have gender. There's no gender with running. And so the answer would be, in the translation, would be the man moves the sword. On the other side of the column, we will see them replacing gladium with eum, which is a pronoun we learned in either this lesson or one of the previous lessons. I would think it would be third person singular here, pronoun. So keep that in mind. Parsing would be the exact same. Same case, same number, same gender. It's just the translation would change. And then that page also talks about how to label more. We've learned so many new ways to translate and to make our sentence breaking our sentence apart into parts here. They give you the abbreviations. I might copy and paste this chart out and just give it to them so they know more. But here, they go over examples of how to label a sentence. On page 79, we have an activity worksheet, which is just saying, hey, can you use these derivatives in the sentence? We may or may not do this. How many derivatives can you use in one sentence? And maybe make a story. If we have time, we will do that. On page 80 is your quiz page. I recommend, if we don't do this in class, that you do it at home to help you study. Writing the words down will help you study. That is chapter 9 in a nutshell. Just be aware that chapter 10 was your review week, and then we're going to go over our unit exam after that. And then, so in about 2-3 weeks, we're going to have a unit test. I gave a chart out to the students that has all of these pronouns from this unit that we have learned. This is new material for everybody. So please make sure you are studying those pronouns. I encourage the kids to make up their own chants to go with these pronouns. If you can't, just do flashcards of these pronouns. It would be the third person singular pronouns, third person plural pronouns, the first person pronouns, and the second person pronouns. First and second person pronouns do not have gender because it's just talking about I, myself, or you. And those words in Latin do not have association with gender. The third person does, because we're talking about he, she, and it. And even in English, those have gender. Okay, thank you, and have a nice week.